Travis when gets home. So I see that after YouTube's vile, malicious attack on me on Mother's Day, that yesterday they've decided to retaliate by censoring my channel even further than they've already been censoring it prior to their attack. And how are you guys, the good guys? In the meantime, this morning, I found bookofmormonplagiarism.com. And it's not secure, and when you try to download the PDFs that are available, Google says this might be harmful to your computer. So you gotta press keep in order to get the PDFs downloaded. It goes against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so it's evil. It's harmful to your computer, like porn. It'll kill you. Women will kill. Oh, God. And so, those of you who've been watching my channel know that I already know all of this information. There is nothing here new for me, but it's the people who did the initial work to find the information. These are Mormons who studied their Book of Mormon, and they found some stuff, and then they hastily concluded with the wrong answer. No, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not true. Not that right answer. Oh my God. Dumbass Mormons. No. What these researchers didn't do was develop a theory to be tested. What they discovered was called anomalies, even though the patterns were plagiarism. You have to develop the evidence into a theory to explain it. And you have to include it all. You can't leave stuff out. Mormons do. You know they're wrong. And so, well, a long time ago, in a Kolob galaxy far, far away, there was a new teenage convert to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints named Kwaku. I believe his last name is L, so he's from the same family crest that I am. And when he was old enough, he graduated from high school and went on to BYU. And it's unclear as to whether or not he served a mission. He might have. And most likely he would have if he joined the church as a teenager, and thus when he became of age he would have gone on a mission. But I've not learned about his life. I've just been aware of the one scandalous video that I first found him on. And so, yeah, at BYU, he gets snared up in a group of wannabe Mormon apologists who learn from the Mormon apologists who work there at BYU. And that's where they're getting all this from. And they're now doing YouTube videos claiming to be the experts on plagiarizing their Mormon apologist teachers who told them stuff, which is misinformation, disinformation, and, well, use my reference book because that's what I got it for. For supersessionism, which is the replacement theology, revisionist history of the Church of Joseph Smith, and religious cleansing, which is what YouTube pulled on Mother's Day against me. And so, Kwaku thinks he knows it all because he's taking classes from these BYU professors. He's got other Mormon friends who are pretending to like him because they're using him because he's black. And Kwaku's too naive to understand this. He's unaware yet of Brigham Young's racism, that Jesus decided no longer to be a racist in 1978. And so when Kwaku thought that he could handle being in a debate against an expert older Mormon who left the church and was confronted with Brigham Young's racism, Kwaku got skunked. The smell spread round the world. He had to confess, in order to save the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that Brigham Young was a racist. Which means the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints isn't true. But again, you have to follow the premises to its conclusion. Nobody does this. Oh my God. And so, yeah, the infamous video that I saw of Kwaku's back in the day was where he said that plagiarism is proof of the truth of the Book of Mormon. I found that picture yesterday as Sunday, realizing that YouTube shut me down, so great, I'm back on retirement again. Had this book, again, placed on the box, ready to be packed up again, along with the reference book. Notice, there's some new stuff added. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. The new stuff. Down at the bottom. New. And so when I had my website, before the church shut me down, in retaliation for suing them in the federal courts this time, I gave Kwaku the key of translation. Technically, it's the gift. But the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints do not believe that Joseph Smith is a translator. Goes all the way back to 1838. See, in 1835, Joseph Smith began working on translating the Book of Abraham. Selected specific picture glyphs out of just the Book of Abraham, as well as the hypocephali, thus singular, and put them in the specific order that he put them in. There's a reason, and it's because he's an actual translator. Everybody misses it. We just finished proving it. And I did the videos. Nobody cared because YouTube censored me. But also his other titles. All of a sudden in 1838, Joseph Smith denies the power of prophet, seer, revelator, and translator, which he not only denies the power of translator in 1838, he now claims that it's just revelation, which denying the power of actual revelation is just whatever comes to his head. All in 1838. Joseph Smith became a monster, changed everything. You have to validate his feelings. It's his truth. See, because the current church with Brigham Young continues what was accused of Joseph Smith in 1838. Nobody else did. In fact, let's take you on a side tangent before we come back to Book of Mormon plagiarism.com. Let's see. Book of Abraham. This is not what I was looking for. So now I gotta search for where. Oh, there it is. In what section are we in? Translation process. Wikipedia, Book of Abraham. Under the paragraph that says, in translating the book, Smith dictated and Phelps, Parrish, Warren Parrish, and Frederick G. Williams acted as scribes. And so, how have I taught you over the years to do research? You can't just not bother to look them up. Who's W.W. Phelps? Mr. Section 85 of the Doctrine and Covenants, plagiarized. Not listening to me, are you? Nobody else caught that one. Nobody else recognizes that it's plagiarized. And so you go on to Warren Parrish, find out who he is. And so it's kind of limited in the opening thing here. But you see that they say that he and other church leaders became disillusioned with Smith after the failure of the Kirtland Safety Society and left the, pay attention, remember, it's supposed to be 1838. The Mormons who wrote this are pulling an anachronism on the anachronism. And left the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 1837. Are you sure it was 1837? Because the failure was in the beginning of 1838. Nonetheless, in 1838, they formed a short-lived church in Kirtland, Ohio, which they called, pay attention, the Mormons are treating you as stupid, who wrote this article, the Church of Christ, after the original name of the church organized by Smith. Do you see what the Mormons are purposely leaving out? And so then you go on to find out he was baptized by Brigham Young. And he was involved in Zion's camp in 1834. Had a mission to Missouri in 1834. Attempts to translate. He was a part of the first quorum of 70 and was a scribe. Joseph Smith recorded in his journal, 14 November 1835, that Parrish had been promised the ability to know of hidden things and be endowed with knowledge of hidden languages, and thought that that meant translation. Oh my God. And so thus they're thinking that's a fulfillment of prophecy with the book of Abraham as a scribe. He got remarried. Because she died in 1834, the first one, Elizabeth Patton. So he's remarried, so no polygamy. Oops. Preaching in Tennessee, 1836. He's with Patton and Wilford Woodruff. Failure of the Curtin Safety Society, 1836. He organized the Curtin Safety Society. By 1837, the bank had failed. Yeah, because the Danites took out loans and didn't pay them back. According to George Albert Smith. The same guy who said that Thomas B. Marsh was excommunicated by Joseph Smith, not in absentia, by Joseph Smith, while he was in Liberty Jail, for defending his wife's honor. That George Albert Smith? Dear God. Do you see how you're doing research here? There are things you need to know that are factual. And when somebody else comes along, makes a claim that doesn't match the facts, it's what's called a lie. Real easy to discern. And so there was an armed conflict at the temple. Public statements, well, they must be true. Parrish's writings in his journal entry of April 4th, 1838, full of slander and falsehoods against Joseph Smith Jr. Yep. Yeah, Wilford Woodruff is recording in his journal for 4th of April, 1838, that Parrish's writings were full of slander and falsehoods. Are they? Or was it a Danite trick? Because Wilford Woodruff became a Danite. Fact. Parrish's Church of Christ. Are they going to... George Albert Smith wrote that the group intended to denounce the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith as Christian or Jewish. They're not talking about what his religion was all about. They don't even have a link so that we can find out. To overthrow, wait a minute, to announce and take the Mormon doctrines to, we've got a bombshell here. All right, George Albert Smith wrote that the group intended to renounce the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith and take the Mormon doctrines to overthrow all the religions in the world and unite all Christian churches in one general band. And they to be its great leaders. And who did it instead? George Albert Smith, through Brigham Young to Nelson. Right now, it's what they're doing. Yes. I rule you all. I never saw that coming. That is awesome. Oh my God. Yes. Because 1838. Which one is it? Terrorist edition. Oh my God. Yeah, terrorist sedition, Danite leader. And so Albert Pike's letter to Giuseppe Mazzini. All religion destroyed, and Lucifer becomes the new doctrine for the whole world. Ta-da! Awesome! After every attack by the church, I find a bombshell. And then they then threaten me. Yes! Awesome. This was not the intent. It's supposed to be plagiarism of the Book of Mormon. And so the other one, Frederick G. Williams. The church knows this pattern. They attack, I find a bombshell, they get humiliated, they're upset, Nelson gets angry. Because part of the one-on-one with Nelson that I didn't get into was when I sued in the federal courts. Nelson, after every filing I made, would then come out with a church news article in response to my filing. And so we had this communication going back and forth with my YouTube videos, my filings in the case, and Nelson's responses on church news. Just awesome. And so yes, when I do the church news, you'll see that they are talking about a subject, doubling down, tripling down on the same dead horse that already has been proven wrong. They keep saying that it's true. Because I've already done the video, I've exposed it, and they still keep pushing it as true. God. Because Mormons are stupid. They treat you as stupid because you won't do the research. You won't do the theory development, exfo never knows, to find out why. What's going on. Because there are bombshells. And ta-da! I now have a document of what I've been trying to tell you. Hilarious. Okay. So, Frederick G. Williams. This is interesting. Thomas B. Marsh was changed to excommunicated in absentia, whatever it's pronounced, on 17th of March, 1839, because I exposed that Joseph Smith was in Liberty Jail. Couldn't have been Joseph who excommunicated him, as George Albert Smith tells us it was. And so the Mormons, to cover it up and hide the mistake by George Albert Smith, changed the Wikipedia pages to have Thomas B. Marsh now in absentia. I'd already done the video. It's already on YouTube still. And it was before they made the change, because of me. They stalk me. They're creepy that way. They know I'm right. They never challenge and prove that I'm wrong. They can't. They can't. And so, yeah, they're on the alert to try to create a lie to cover up and protect the church. That's why they stalk me. They know I'm not like other Expo Nevermos. And thus why YouTube attacked and censored me yesterday worse as punishment for having to release me from my bondage of censorship. But nonetheless, Frederick G. Williams, we gotta stay on topic, despite the bombshell. Frederick G. Williams was serving in the first presidency and a scribe, but we need to find out who he was. He was a medical doctor. He was in the War of 1812, there in battles of the northern frontier. This was when the Illuminati again attacked, snuck into America, infiltrated the Scottish Rites Freemasonry. 9/11, 1826. Joseph Smith Sr. saved America. Nobody knows, only me. I did the research, nobody else did. And thus the Book of Mormon, with the plagiarism. It all ties together. Don't think it's a tangent. Keep listening. I tie it back. All truth may be circumscribed. That translation, or that meaning of the word, not the one the church uses, which is bondage. And let's see. It was Oliver Cowdery traveling through Kirtland when they taught and baptized many in Rigdon's congregation. This was after Parley P. Pratt was given the Book of Mormon in Palmyra when he was there, and went back, told everybody there. And so Oliver Cowdery and other, more, they don't say who his companions were. Oh my God. Went to Kirtland, Ohio to then perform the baptisms. Sidney Rigdon, the author of the Book of Mormon, except for the 116 pages because of Joseph and Martin Harris stealing them, because of too much Freemasonry in the original 116 pages, because the whole plagiarism thing would have been different if Martin Harris didn't steal them. And so now we have what I found, Jewish Kabbalah. Technically Joe Samson, but he's Mormon. He doesn't realize that he found the plagiarism of Kabbalah in the Book of Mormon. He didn't develop the theory. I did. Written by Joseph Smith Sr., as Junior was on timeout for the rest of the time, and given Oliver Cowdery as the babysitter. And so, yeah, it looks like it wasn't until Sidney Rigdon's church was called the Disciples of Christ. No, they're calling it the Campbellite movement. Sidney Rigdon's already left the Campbellite movement because he wasn't allowed to do a revised version of the Bible, which that was his payment, along with his other Campbellite Baptist alterations, laying on of hands, sacrament prayers, sermons on Sunday, all Sidney Rigdon. And then Smith said, yeah, sure, whatever you want, we'll do it. Help us with the Book of Mormon. Ta-da. You gotta follow the money, guys. Follow the money. And so, apparently, it wasn't until 1832 that Williams is made a scribe and was a part of the first presidency the next year. Interesting. He was on a committee for the publishing of the Doctrine and Covenants for 1835, because 1833 was the Book of Commandments. And 1837, Williams was Justice of the Peace, an officer at the Kirtland Safety Society. And so, yeah, the Danites framed Frederick G. Williams because he was an officer in the Kirtland Safety Society. It was under his watch that the Danites took out loans, didn't pay them back. See what's going on here? And so we see that he was excommunicated, but there is no record of it found yet. He was rebaptized, and apparently we have that document. God, why did you blue that link? In August 1838. This is when all hell breaks loose. Are you sure he was rebaptized? And then was excommunicated in absentia March 17th, guys, come on. They did it all together. 1839. Which, according to George Albert Smith, it was Joseph. I'm the one responsible for getting the Mormons to cover it up and put the right information there. He was not excommunicated. This was not authoritative. You can't be excommunicated without somebody in authority doing the excommunication. So it can't be excommunicated in absentia. They just left the church. Hey, I'm one of those kinds of guys. I'm not excommunicated, but I'm not going to church. Ta-da! Thomas B. Marsh. Not excommunicated, just left, didn't come back. Ta-da! In case you are unfamiliar of the scandal in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints about membership numbers, in 2012, ABC News reported, ABC4 News Utah reported, that there was a mass exodus in 2011. And they got Elder Jensen of the 70 in a quote saying that Mormons are just leaving the church, no longer being active, and then thus the change to less active rather than non-active. And it was the same thing. It was a mass excommunication, according to their cover-up of my exposing that Joseph Smith was in Liberty Jail and could not have excommunicated these guys. We all know you cannot be excommunicated in absentia unless the stake president holds a court for you. He's the one in this church who has the authority for disciplinary action. And if you don't show, and they decide to excommunicate you, then yes, you are excommunicated in absentia. But nobody in authority performed the excommunications. Are you not getting this? There was no stake president. It was not by the High Council. Brigham Young had no authority to do it, but he was called the president of the church in the minutes of the High Council. And so, yeah, this is what happened. He left. He was chased out by the Danites. And so, Joseph Smith came out of Liberty Jail. And what is interesting here is they only referred to a book, and it is available for copy and paste in the Gutenberg.org, but you have to copy and paste. Just give us a PDF. Come on. And then just make sure that Google doesn't flag it as a threat to your faith bubble. Apparently, while he was excommunicated in absentia, Williams went to see Joseph Smith at Carthage jail. So you have George Albert Smith who says, yeah, Joseph Smith excommunicated him. March 17th, 1839. And yet, the evidence has Williams visiting Joseph Smith in jail. They're still friends. You see the cover-up that's being done here? Do you see the cover-up that's being done here? And so he dies in 1842. He was restored to fellowship by Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith, for those who were chased out by the Danites but realized Joseph was back and none of this was real, were brought back into the church, put back into their priesthood office even, as if it never happened. Remember, this is the coup. And Joseph Smith is back and says, no, none of this happened. I'm not the leader of the Danites. I'm not changing the name of the church. No. Joseph Smith Papers is a bombshell, Mormons, and exfo never mows. Assemble a theory. Put all the evidence together. Don't just hastily conclude because you found something. And so, yeah, he had a pulmonary hemorrhage in Quincy, Illinois in October 1842 and died. Still faithful and true to Joseph Smith. Did not get turned to the dark side of the force. And thus was framed. So, fascinating. So, yeah, translation and historicity of the book of Abraham. John Gee wrote it. John Gee, I found him in the Ledger of the Danites who paid Brigham Young the loyalty money that Nelson rushed to have published in the Joseph Smith papers, claiming it's proof that Section 119 is true. Even though it has to do with Section 85. And so, yes, because Gee is a Danite, John Gee, to protect the church as a Danite descendant, third great-grandson. I think he's actually older than I am, so he'd be a second great-grandson of the Danite who framed Joseph Smith and couped the church. And so, yeah, no duh, Gee is denying translation for Joseph Smith, claiming he's a revelator now, because his second great grandfather did so. And so, yeah, the whole scandal of Section 116, blatantly forged from the Joseph Smith papers. You've got faded ink, so it's at least 40 years later. And all of a sudden, fresh ink, claiming Joseph Smith went to Adam-on-Diamond and named it, and this is where Adam will come in the latter days to overthrow the government and establish the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as the one true religion over Christianity. This was supposed to be the other video that I had planned when I woke up this morning. And as I was thinking about it with my run, I came up with the plagiarism one instead. Are we merging them together like Reese's Peanut Butter Cups? Everything ties in together. The plagiarism is a warning about this threat to America right now, that the church paid YouTube to censor me about the threat in the Book of Mormon to warn you, to save your sorry asses. And Mormons don't want to be saved. The church is true and it's Christian. We're denialists and revisionists of history and replaced Joseph Smith's theology. Okay, just own it, Mormons. Own it. Go around and tell people you worship Lucifer. That's the keystone on the doors of the Salt Lake Temple, which means the doctrines of Lucifer are taught within the temple. What doctrines of Lucifer are in the temple? The 5 covenant paths of taking away agency. Oaks in conference said your underwear in the temple. Lucifer is to take away your agency. You are in bondage. That's what it means. Did you not watch conference? Did you not listen to Oaks? I did. Hello? And then porn. Cover up and hide. Be ashamed. Feel guilty. Confess to your bishop. Let him rape you. Let him call the hotline to protect himself. I mean the church. And send you to family services where they tell you you're depressed. Here's drugs that will kill you soon. No mission for you, Mackenzie. Do you not see the evil? Lucifer's church. When you talk about Lucifer, you know he's a scary dude. And yet, when I go over the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you downplay it. Oh, no, it's not. No, literally, Lucifer. His doctrines. That's the doctrines that's going to rule the world. I just read it. George Albert Smith again. I need to find his books. George Albert Smith books, PDF. So there's the teachings of the president of the church, but that's not the George Albert Smith. Grandfather of the original. Only having the president. George Albert Smith Family Papers. Ooh. It's a table of contents of collections. University. Special at library.utah.edu. 1817 to 1875. Okay. But what are his books? Elias Smith. We'll have to do some further research on that. I'll come back to that one. Okay? And so, yeah, this is what you got to pay attention to. When the church makes a claim, you know it's from a Danite. You know it's a lie. And they're purposely doing that now, not just to take over the government and establish their kingdom, but yeah, overthrow Christianity. And so Christians, are you not paying attention? The church used you, evangelicals, to become extremists to overthrow the government. You get blamed because you did the crime. The church just paid your leaders to have you do the crime. Which, yes, the church should get in trouble too. It's called RICO. And then, because you failed in 2020, the church then went to Islam. Government, religious leaders, all over the church news. Church is true because Islam is coming to us. Isaiah's prophecy. All leaders of the nations come to Utah. And then the church does a business deal for which the money gets eventually laundered into the groups that are causing the protests to exterminate the Jews. And then the Hamas war, paid for by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because Putin failed. So then they went to MAGA. Actually, no. MAGA failed, then Putin. Yeah, Ukraine was 2021. Well, so MAGA failed first, then Putin failed, then China failed, and now it's Islam's turn. Oh my God. It's amazing, the big picture, when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Hilarious. Nelson is an utter failure. That is hilarious. I mean, no duh, Isaiah talking about Lucifer. Nelson. Why are you so powerful? You're nobody. Isaiah just rips Nelson a it's just hilarious. And so, yeah, this link, Book of Mormon Plagiarism.com, is massive. It's very long. He's got all of these things all organized, and then you view links. There's some that are no longer available. You need to update this. Grant Palmer, I think that's the name I can recall. You gotta fix this. You gotta check the links, make sure they're good, and try to get Google to back off. It says your site's not secure. So anyway, nonetheless, there are some things that you need to watch for when you're going over this link, because there are some anachronisms, some obvious ones that Grant should have caught, but he chose not to. Because being born and raised Mormon, you are automatically an anti-Semite. Just like being born and raised Christian, you are automatically an anti-Semite. Remember, supersessionism, revisionist history, and the religious cleansing of the Jews. And so there was one impressive one, and the specific reason why I was online and found this was because I'm trying to find out if anybody saw that Joseph Smith plagiarized Deuteronomy 18. Because he does. The Book of Mormon does. The New Testament does. But all he had was somebody who had done a little PDF, and it's available, and I got it, about plagiarizing the Exodus. Lehi's journey in the wilderness is a plagiarism of the Exodus. And I had a whole series of Exodus patterns in the Book of Mormon. And I've done other videos where I've referred to it. All Jewish authors plagiarize the Exodus. But this dumbass who did this did not develop a theory to explain it. He did not do a thorough job of identifying the plagiarism of Deuteronomy 18:15 through 19. That's why the Exodus is plagiarized. It's trying to tell you Mormons about the latter-day Exodus. 103 verse 16 and 17. Hello? We're Jewish. We're not supposed to be Christian. Christianity is abominable. And yet you want Lucifer to reign supreme for the millennium. God, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I have to go to Christians now and Islam. The church is going to destroy you guys. I read it to you. It's proof. Plagiarism is proof that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is going to overthrow Christianity and the governments of the world. And frame you for it. Exactly what they did to Joseph Smith in 1838. Come on, guys. And then as I scrolled down to about halfway, he has changing from Trinity to Godhead. Oh my hell. Seriously? Those of you who have been watching and are aware of the learning of the Jewish religion in the Book of Mormon, do you not see how this is abominable? This is what I warned Christians, Expo Nevermos, about. Don't call Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon Christian. That's Brigham Young's trap. Hello? And so yes, it's not Trinity in the Book of Mormon, but it is plagiarism from the Bible. But the Bible is not Trinity. It's Jewish. God. And this is what's frustrating. Expo Nevermos cannot acknowledge the learning of the Jews. They can't acknowledge that Joseph Smith was Jewish. They can't acknowledge that the Book of Mormon is Jewish because it means that Christianity is false. And you should have known it's false because you should have studied Christianity to know about the first creed that Joseph Smith talks about and says is abominable. Quit revising history. Quit being denialists. Dear God. And so yes, all of this stuff, you're just going beyond the mark. Because of Christianity. It's causing confusion. It's causing chaos. It's causing darkening of the mind. Loss of intelligence. And so yeah, there's scientific things. Because there's the DNA evidence. That's a huge scandal. And apparently the church changed the introduction, which I've never seen that change. It was 2006, so, but I'm unaware of it. Nonetheless, 3 geneticists discount the Book of Mormon's claim that Lamanites are from Jerusalem. Really? Have you ever done a DNA test? How far back do they go? Ancestry.com only goes back to about the Civil War. That's it. Because the DNA, unless you do a paternal or a maternal line, can only go back so far. If you want to find out if the American Indians are from pre-Babylonian captivity Jerusalem, you need to follow their paternal and maternal lines, which they found out are from China. But they didn't keep going. Where does China come from? Are they a haplogroup that just emerged out of China? No, because DNA has confirmed they come from Egypt. And what is part of Egypt's land? Judah. Ta-da! Dumbasses all. And so archaeologist Thomas Stewart Ferguson finds no supporting evidence and quits the church. Dr. Michael Coe discounts Book of Mormon claims. Dumbasses all. Dr. David Bokovoy. Is that Russian? Renowned Bible scholar and dumbass who doesn't do scientific research, despite a PhD in Christianity. Discounts Book of Mormon Bible claims. Bushman, infamous LDS church historian, states dominant church history narrative is false. Dr. D. Green, former editor of University Archaeological Society newsletter. The first myth. Dumbass. Dr. David Johnson, BYU professor. Dumbass. Dr. John Clark, BYU, dumbass, automatic dumbass. Dr. Julian Hansen, Boston University Department of Archaeology. The Institute never used the Book of Mormon as a scientific guide in locating historical ruins in the Western Hemisphere. It's because there is none. There are no cows. This is the cows. That's what they're talking about. Dr. Ray T. Matheny, BYU professor dumbass. A BS PhD. Dr. Nicholas J. Frederick, PhD in History of Christianity and Mormon Studies. Dumbass. Failed to do his job to get an education. Why did he get a PhD? Why wasn't he rejected? Dear God, guys. Grant Hardy, BYU dumbass. Lincoln Blumel, BYU dumbass. Alexander Campbell. Interesting. Why is he here? He's not a scientist. Sidney left because he disagreed with Alexander Campbell. Obviously, Alexander Campbell is going to disagree with Sidney. Smithsonian Institute. B.H. Roberts, dumbass for Jesus. Anthropologist Thomas Murphy discusses Book of Mormon over lack of DNA evidence. Simon Southerton's DNA snippets. Oh, God. You looked beyond the mark. Joseph Smith translation, copied from Adam Clark. What? Have you never read it? There's some stuff that aren't plagiarized. There's supposed to be a PDF. Come on. What the hell? View PDF. This is not a PDF. Available here. You have to buy it from Barnes & Noble for $3.88 on ebook. It's beyond the copyright. The Holy Bible, commentary and critical notes. You have it all. I mean, why are they sending us to the 4 volumes here? 4 files. Should be capable of doing all 3. But we'll do one at a time. Alright, so yeah, we're basically done. I just wanted to help you understand that you gotta keep going. You can't stop. When you find evidence, that's all it is evidence. But you have no idea what it means in the bigger picture. You have to plug it into the whole picture of evidence. You gotta keep on going until you figure it out. And then boom, once you got facts established, you're easy breezy cover girl awesome. So, yeah. Got some downloading to do and then a video. As I bathe and shave today.